you to our distinguished keynote speaker, Donna Orender. Donna has been at the forefront of women's professional basketball, dazzling audiences as a high school, collegiate, and professional basketball player. She utilized her expansive experience as a proven and respected senior vice president with the PGA Tour to go on to lead the Women's National Basketball Association as its president. While serving as president, she helped increase game attendance numbers and television exposure, amongst other notable accomplishments. Donna is the founder of Orender Unlimited, which provides marketing, media, and diversity strategies consulting services. Donna is also a celebrated author, having written several books, including Wowsdom, The Girl's Guide to the Positive and Possible. She counts among her greatest achievements, besides, of course, her adoring husband and 4 children, her founding of Generation W, a platform for bringing women together to educate, inspire, and connect through mentorship. Donna gives generously of her talent, time, and effort to promote gender equity and empowering girls and women. Her passion, sincerity, and integrity have earned her respect, admiration, and numerous accolades and recognition, including being named by Fox Sports Network as one of the top 10 most powerful women in sports and Newsweek's top 100 most influential people in sports. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Donna Orender.
I want to thank our local commissioners, Claudia, who called me first and asked me if I would be able to do this. And I said, I'll do everything I can to do that. Thank you, Lori Day, who's been a friend for so long and such an advocate for all of us forever. I didn't see if Abby Bean was here. If she is, I just wanted to make sure we said hello. But the entire commission, for your tireless work on all our behalf, thank you so much. My team that is here from Generation W, there's Katie and Dawn over there, and I believe Bridget and Tracy are somewhere. I asked, if they're outside, somebody should tell them to come in. Girls, come on in. Come in. There they go. They wanted to make an entrance. That's fine with me. Before I start my official remarks, I just wanted to recognize the historic nature of this day as Queen Elizabeth II was brought back to London to lie in state. It's not about politics. This is about an incredible woman who for 70 years sat on the throne. But when you think about it, a young woman who was brought to the world stage and grew up in front of all of us for 70 years. You know, more than just a queen, she was a mom, and she was a wife. And all of us know that that can be messy. Think about how lucky we are that every single travail that we had to take with our young kid or old grown-up sons didn't have to be on TV or parsed on the news. And yet she did it with such grace and such dignity, and her commitment to service, I know for me, I found very inspirational. And I'm kind of sad. I am. And so I just offered this moment of tribute to her today as we bid her farewell. Because I do think she is a forever role model that will go down in history as one of the most remarkable women that we've ever seen. And I'll add a bit of levity to this sad time. I received a cartoon recently, and it said, I can't believe they're going to make a man queen. This woke nonsense has gone too far. So I'm appreciative of the invitation to join you today. A day of women coming together is something for anyone who knows me is a day I always cherish. And why is that? Because what happens when women come together? We eat. But besides that, magic. You see, for my whole life, whether it be on the softball or hockey fields or the basketball or the tennis courts, being surrounded by girls who loved to play, who wanted to win, who learned how to dig in and compete like Nancy Hogshead Maker, was and remains magical. It grounded me in the belief that when women come together, we are difference makers. We are magic makers. And it's one of the first things we ask our wow girls, our teen girls, is how many of you believe you can change the world? And because I fundamentally believe that we are all teen girls at heart still, I will ask you, how many of you believe that you can change the world? Because you know, thank you, Sophia, for Thank goodness you're our lead commissioner, because you're shaking your head yes. You are changing the world. There's no doubt about it. We all do every day, whether it's a small act of kindness, large acts of conviction and courage. Change is always within our purview. And we all can for sure, because I do believe that it's incremental steps that creates exponential change, right? Anybody work out? You add 1% more, right? You do 10 push-ups. All right, you start with 5. Okay, you start with 1. You know what? You can add 1 more. Guess what? And then you add another one. And by the time you turn around, it's pretty significant. My exposure to the power of sports showed me there truly is a magic carpet ride where opportunities and possibilities are nurtured and grown. And yet I knew at a very young age that as much as I loved the playing fields, I knew that it was not a level playing field. And how great was that conversation with Nancy and Mary, right? Barbara Jo and Marilyn. We all knew it. We didn't give it voice, we were young. But what I knew is I wanted what the boys had. I didn't say it then because that sounded terrible, but it's what I wanted. I knew they had access. I knew they had resources. I knew they had adulation and opportunity. You see, because the world tells us every single minute of every single day, yes, young women and young men, who is worth more and who is worth less. Think about it. Access to fields, courts, equipment, money, respect, attention. In the broader business world, access to, whether it be the corner office, more money, higher pay, better titles. And if you want to hear me talk a little bit more about this, I did a TED Talk a couple of years ago, and I go into greater detail. But that's not the conversation today per se, but check it out if you can. But thankfully, there was a game changer. And it came around 50 years ago, and you know what it was called now, right? I thought I actually was speaking before Nancy and her group, but now that I know after, you all know the answer, and it's called Title IX. And you guys, Nancy, thank you, as you always do whenever I'm anywhere in the country and I'm speaking somewhere, there's always some fact I have to check. Nancy's the human fact checker. I even sent her a note this morning. She sent me paragraphs. You can say this, and you can say this, and you can say this. But you fired it up. And you fired us up about 38 words, because I don't think Nancy went over this, that changed the trajectory of all of our lives. In '72, it was an education bill, and I think you talked a little bit about that. But here's the words. And it's funny, because I read these to my husband this morning, and he goes, "Thank you, honey. You taught me something today. And you well know that I think I know everything." For those of you who know M.G. Orender, that's true. It goes like this: "No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance." Do you notice that there's no reference to sports, and there's all a story behind that? But what it says is under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. Bingo! Title IX was all about bringing women into the game. That's what it grew into. And the games of life. It validated girls like me, like Nancy, and how many of you who played sports when you were young, or your daughters are playing sports now, or your granddaughters. It created opportunities to play in numbers we had only hoped for, but now are realizing, and we also know, need to be much better. So many people have Title IX stories, and I've been celebrating for months. Any of you have Title IX stories? Huh? Yeah, of course. We should share them. But here's one of my favorites. The first day, I'm sitting at my desk in New York City as the new commissioner of the WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association. And my phone rings. And my assistant says, "This is a very special call, Donna. The co-author of the legislation, the father of Title IX, Senator Birch Bayh, is on the phone for you." And I'm like, come on. Is it your cousin? Didn't your friends do that to you? It was Senator Birch Bayh. And I was so touched. 33 years after he introduced the bill on the floor, he reached out to me. He wished me luck, and he reminded me just how important the work was we were doing at the WNBA. Leading a business that featured strong women, women athletes that used their elbows and sweat, and most importantly, by their presence made the statement that they belonged. Actually, a statement for all of us, that we all belong. And he knew it was hard. It wasn't until I hung up and had a few minutes to think about it and reflect that I felt the weight of the responsibility that he was conveying about the importance of Title IX and the responsibility that I had. And truthfully, I think Nancy said it. Actually, the responsibility that we all have to fulfill the mission of equal opportunity. Let me say that again. It's the responsibility we all have. Because as we know, Marilyn talked about legislation, different leaders, it comes and goes. We gotta make sure that this does not come and go. I loved what Senator Bai said when he introduced the bill. And I've read it so many times, and each time I get a little crick in the back of my throat. He said, while the impact of this amendment would be far-reaching, it is not a panacea. It is, however, an important first step in the effort to provide for the women of America, which would include us in Florida, by the way, something that is rightfully theirs. An equal chance to attend the schools of their choice, to develop the skills they want, to apply those skills with the knowledge that they will have a fair chance to secure the jobs of choice with equal pay for equal work. By him saying that, we hear that we didn't have those opportunities. Sports now is in the forefront of helping lead that way. Leading the WNBA, when I did, we were on the leading edge of commerce and culture, and I learned firsthand how the world felt about women. I had just left working 17 years at the PGA Tour. I worked for men, and I worked with all men. I guess I was in kind of a bubble. So I can't even tell you when I had to learn about the good, and there was so much good. But there was bad, more bad than I thought, and there was a fair share of ugly. But investments that have been made over time has continued to propel women's sports forward, like the work of Champion Women, and women in general forward. I watched the WNBA finals last night on prime time on ESPN. Did anybody else watch it? All right, ladies, that's one of the ways that we can help support each other. When women's sports are on or where they are, we need to buy tickets and we need to watch. And there was a lot on last night. I had a Zoom on with Condoleezza Rice and the Stanford people. They're encouraging young athletes. I don't know if you've seen this, Nancy. Young athletes across the country to get engaged and vote. They're not telling you who to vote, just to get engaged and vote. So Condi did it, and Steph Curry did it, and then I had the game on in the back. And it's our 26th season, and I still say our. Because I've so been proud to be part of the process that enabled this league to be part of a women's sports landscape that continues to gain momentum. I'll throw out another couple initials, maybe. The NWSL, the Women's Soccer League, the World Surf League, which I proudly serve on their board, where we are so proud that we pay equally our men and women champion surfers. The finals just happening with, oh my God, Steffi Gilmore, with Stephanie coming back and winning her, I think, 9th? Okay, I should know this, but I didn't write it down. Women's softball earning record ratings, record purses for the LPGA, and we're actually doing a Links to Leadership class for 50 up-and-coming professional women golfers called Links to Leadership. And yes, the gaps are still considerable, but we must celebrate if we're gonna have the energy to move forward, because it can be draining. And there's more to come, and I think you heard Nancy and her colleagues speak about that. I also wanted to share, I see that. The expanse of Title IX is a gift to us all. As beautifully stated by Representative Patsy Mink. I don't know if everybody remembers Patsy. She was a congresswoman from Hawaii. And she was considered the godmother of Title IX. And she said, I love her words too, I suppose the purpose of my bill is really to free the human spirit, to make it possible for everyone to achieve according to their talents and wishes. Who doesn't want that? I don't care who you are or where you're from, what your gender is, your race, your ethnicity. We all want to grow up and feel that possible is before us and we can live into it. Free the human spirit. As a girl, I loved to play sports. I played 7 in high school, and I know Bridget, my colleague, she loved to play sports too. A former collegiate athlete, a former professional athlete, a sports league executive, a commissioner, the founder of a not-for-profit that's all about educating, inspiring, connecting women and girls, Generation W, and of course, I must add, a mom of athletes. The power of sports to elevate, to inspire, to challenge, to teach us something all should have access to in equal measure. I always loved this observation, and I alluded to it earlier, that messages are about as much as what we don't say as we do. There are messages of silence that scream, such as only 1% of commercial sponsorship dollars in sports are spent on women's sports. Think about that. Do we wonder why there is a pay gap? Where my whole payroll of my entire league equaled the pay of one mid-league exception in the NBA? We all need to come together, right? However, because I have to tell you, my spirit was and continues to be elevated by the possibilities that happen when we team up. Because ladies, hello, no big secret, not a hidden statistic, we are the majority of the population. And there is power in numbers if we make it so. You see, I truly believe life is a team sport, and I talk about that a lot. And we're all connected in this ultimate game of life. And when we win big together. And the victories that we help drive when we stand up together create impact for all. It's not only impact for our daughters, it's impact for our sons, for our partners, for our husbands, our colleagues, our neighbors, and lest we forget, and yes, we do leave this always to the end. How about ourselves? You see, if we don't prioritize ourselves, who will, Tracy? Who will? For the record, I'm the mom of sons, right? I know we have girl dad. I guess I'm boy mom. And the delight that I felt when my sons would show up to WNBA games at Madison Square Garden in New York City with their Little League teammates and chase down those athletes for their autographs. They still have those books. They're 25 years old now. They were 8 at the time. In their drawers. Why? What were we showing them? We were speaking loudly that these women were not worth less than, right? That they were worth a lot and had a lot of value. And as many of you know, I worked as a senior executive for the PGA Tour, and when I got the call to go to the WNBA, after a long deliberation, I thought, 17 years working with these guys, it's probably time for a change. How hard could it be? I love basketball, still do. I played on one of the best teams in the nation. We made history by playing in the first game ever at Madison Square Garden. I played in the first women's professional league, another historic moment. And just think about it. I distilled it, right? Don't you distill it? You make a column. Okay, small ball, big ball. No problem, it's a ball. All right? I was going from outdoors, where I had to worry about rain, to indoors. No weather problems, no problem. And I'd still be dealing with athletes, so how hard could it be? But I will tell you that nothing prepared me for the harsh judgments, the bias, the sexism, the racism, the questioning of our right to exist. I still cannot look Stephen A. Smith in the eye today, although I did have this opportunity. I was in Cleveland for the All-Star game, and he was at the next table. Remind me, next time I see him, do not avoid it. Take it head on. Who are you to question whether we have the right to exist? But the joy of working on behalf of amazing athletes, strong women who follow their passion and play and make a difference was all I needed to make a lifelong commitment, truthfully, to the advancement of women. A community that strengthens all of its members is a stronger community. That's why we're here today. And using the analogy of sports, don't we want everyone on our team, on the court, on the bench, to be ready to play, to be ready to lead? Don't we want the best players? And why would anyone believe that the best players only come from one gender or race or ethnicity, for that matter? There is no monopoly on talent. When research shows that ROI for companies is enhanced by the increased diversity in the decision-making process as America changes, we all win when we help lead that change. Like Angela Timberlake, right over here, who's leading Elevate Women right here in Jacksonville, positioning and supporting women to lead. It's great work, Angela. Today we're living in a global competition. So when the need and reach for talent pits Jacksonville, it's not against Orlando, it's against Shanghai. And it's not Miami, it's Miami against Delhi. Why would we ever take the field while accessing only 50% of the talent? You see, we have to use our voices, we have to stand up, we have to take action. We are Florida's women. So for me, this work has led to building community, and my answer to fortifying opportunity for all is called Generation W. It's about educating, inspiring, connecting women and girls in the service of building community. And after leaving the WNBA, I came back home here and said, what am I gonna do? But what I know is that there are great women everywhere. And there's enlightened gentlemen who knew they too stood to gain if we all worked together. So Generation W began as hard work, and it remains hard work. But it is a love language that has and continues to change lives here in our region and across the country. Our National Thought Leadership event draws people from over 30 states to right here at UNF, at the beautiful Lazara Theater. So please, this is an open invitation to join us. Write it down, there's a little note on your table, March 24th, where we'll be gathering to talk about the positive and the possible. And why? Because we know we're living in challenging times. And we need to see what is possible. We need to realize, we need to regenerate, revitalize our belief and hope of what we can do and be inspired by the multiple paths to what's possible. So Generation W, I'm looking around this room. I took pictures. You thought it's just because I wanted to have them. I know who you are. And we do hope to see you there. But the positive and the possible is also the foundational teaching of our work with our teen girls called Generation Wow. And Generation Wow is where the leaders of tomorrow meet the leaders of today. And on November 1st, right here, back in that theater, we will pay it forward, and maybe you'll join us and mentor a young woman, go on a mentor walk. We'll have over 600 plus Northeast Florida teen girls for an amazing session of energy, positivity. It's where girls come together with women to build confidence and leadership skills, to feel seen and heard and loved. You will thank yourself for saying yes. Remember earlier, you have to take care of yourself. I've had women say, you know, I came from the girls, but the truth of the matter fact, I really came from me, and that's okay. Because over 20,000 girls from across the state and beyond are being touched by this program, our clubs and events. And next week, we're so excited. We're going to Portland, Oregon, and we'll be bringing WOW to 900 teen girl athletes, part of the Portland Interscholastic League as part of their public schools, and we cannot wait. You see, we're celebrating 10 years of the wow of WOW, where the wow of girls unites with the wisdom of women, and Wowsdom, you get that? Wow and wisdom? You got that, I know you got that. Wowsdom, it's the Girl's Guide to the Possible. It's a book that we wrote when we saw how the electric energy of girls and women coming together was so palpable. And I think a few of you, there's gonna be some kind of drawing, we'll get to take it home. And you could be like my 85-year-old mom who reads a few stories every night. And she calls me and says, Donna, I'm crying. I'm like, Ma, why? What's wrong now? I'm just inspired and I'm motivated and I feel hopeful about a world where women and girls are making a difference. So by the way, it's not only for the young girls, but it's for the girl in all of us. And our team is outside, so if you'd like to either order a book or have one signed, I'd be happy to do that. And also later today, we will be revamping after a summer vacation. We do one other thing called Refresh. It's about refreshing your spirits. Who here doesn't need a refresh every couple of weeks? Every couple of hours? Every couple of minutes? It's a Zoom cast that we do. We have incredible women, and sometimes men as well, to engage in community, great conversations with women. It's open, it's warm. Today we will have Shari Cranman, the former Chief Marketing Officer of Winn-Dixie, but she actually is at Marks & Spencer. She's British. It's kind of appropriate today that we'd have a British woman talking to us about leadership. So before I go, let's do this team thing together. You guys ready? Okay, good. So I think life is a team sport. If you had a quiz on, something I said, that would be right. So everyone I know it's COVID, you can either touch elbows or link your arms around the table. If you'd want to stand up, you can. Go ahead. Whatever you choose. I mean, this is, America in 2022. Link your arms. Okay, really. So let me say this. Title IX is the unleashing of the possible of opportunities, dreams, and realized. It's enabled our work, Generation W and WOW, to flourish and grow, and it's the embrace of the strength of women and men and all benefit. This is the picture I want. Remember what Patsy Ming said, it's the unleashing of the human spirit. Okay, you ready? You ready? Hang with me now. When we unleash our human spirit, and when we do this, we deepen our belief in each other. And when we do, what do? We rise. So I'm gonna ask you again. When we deepen our belief in each other, and when we do, what do? We rise. Good. And when we expect the best from each other, what do? We rise. When we believe in ourselves, what do? And we forge our courage to be active participants in our own stories, what do? We rise. Yes, we rise. And though we may fall, just remember, there is a woman right next to you who is ready to pick you up. At Generation W, we believe that when you elevate women and girls, you elevate us all. And when we elevate us all, you know what happens. Thank you very much.